I'm Dr. Martyn Gray, Assistant Professor in Translation Studies. I teach on a whole range of our undergraduate and postgraduate modules, and my teaching languages are French and German. I suppose I have two broad research interests. On the one hand, the research that is linked to my PhD, which is about what readers actually want from a translation. The inspiration for that came from my own work as a freelance translator, but also from what Lawrence Venuti, one of the major translation scholars, says about how translators work to make themselves invisible. So I look at reviews of translated literature in the United Kingdom, France and Germany to see what reviewers actually want from a translation, both the general public and also more specialised reviewers for broadsheets and cultural magazines as well. My other quite major broad research interest is the translation of non-standard features and forms of language. So I've looked at two different things quite recently. One, the translation of science fiction and how newly created words and worlds are translated into English, and then also the translation of dialect and what kind of strategies are available to translators. So my current project is related to one of my research interests, the translation of dialect. I'm looking at the film Bienvenue chez les Ch'tis, which is a film anchored in dialect almost. The identity and characterization of the main protagonists comes from their use of this Northern French dialect, or more precisely regional language. And in the film you see them speaking this language, and there's somebody who comes from the south of France, has basically no idea what they're saying, but this adds to the kind of group identity, the feeling that the Northerners have of themselves, and it's almost a feeling of pride. But on the flip side, it creates this distance between the Northerners and the Southerners. So in translation, the French to English translators have decided to try to mimic the linguistic features of the French dialect, the regional language, which is great from a linguistic point of view, but we kind of lose the identity and characterization of the main protagonist, the Northerners, in the film. So my current project is looking at what other alternatives might be available to the translators, how they could perhaps retain some of the identity or the characterization of those main protagonists, and whether there are any downsides to using different strategies in translation as well.